The last one is getting right into the more complex leadership behaviour called leading in the zone. Leading in the zone. And the way leaders drive performance in their teams and in their one-on-one relationships. Extraordinary leaders bring out the best in others. And that's nothing short of miraculous, quite frankly, when you get to meet them. You sort of, how did they get from there to there? I could study some of what they were doing and I can see how it worked. But how do they just get everybody wanting to stretch? And how do they achieve that? First thing we want to understand is this notion of advisory relationships. Now, one of the challenges we face right now in the leadership industry across the world is that coaching is in vogue. Yeah? Coaching's the key. Yeah. And coaching, as you can see, is simply one of three behaviours. If we all watched a tape of you doing some stuff over a few hours, coaching is simply a behaviour that you can tick off. As is mentoring, as is managing. And so right now we're in a really sad point, I think, because there's a lot of information out there that says managing is bad, leading is good. You heard that? The reason you're not performing well is because you're stuck in manager mode. No, has anyone heard that? Yeah, you need to do this coaching course and no doubt everything will work out for you. And that's just a lie. And I'm sorry I have to use such strong language. It is a lie. I'll explain why. These three things are simply things that you can do, correct? And you can do them well, and you can do them badly. Yeah? And so if you're a bad manager, the thing you probably should do before you do anything else is become a good manager. If you're bad at mentoring, you probably should become good at mentoring. And if you're bad at coaching, there's some pretty bad coaching going on out there, you probably should become good at it. Simple? But you see, the environment we're in is if someone's bad at this, they think they need to go and train them to do something else. That's muddying the waters, wouldn't you agree? As classroom teachers, has everyone here done their time in the classroom? Except me, of course, being a psychologist. You know about Lev Vygotsky's work, the zone of proximal development? Yeah? And you know about the concept of scaffolding? A lot of scaffolding, a moderate amount of scaffolding, minimal scaffolding. And what did Vygotsky teach us, if nothing else? You moderate the level of scaffolding you have to keep people in the zone of proximal development. Yeah? We're all good with that? And that, I don't have, with PhD and whatever qualification experience I have nothing more to say. Vygotsky summed it up. As leaders, that's what we do. So we absolutely need to use quality managing techniques for people who need that level of explicit instruction, of direct instruction about things. We must absolutely have a quality approach to mentoring. Be able to share our story and not look a bit arrogant, but look like the wise old Gandalf. Come off the right way with how we mentor people. And we absolutely need to be masters of the Socratic dialogue. Curious questions. But it's matched, just like the colours, this one's matched to the zone of proximal development, the person that we're working with. Very rarely, when we train people, we get them to actually role play good and bad examples of all of these, so they feel them out. And we have, just like Anita Archer's book, example and non-example, we have scripts of micromanaging versus effective instruction. And that's really quite a revelation for a lot of leaders, maybe not so much in education, in health, because no one's actually explained to them the difference between good and bad managing. Managing is just a bad generic concept. But there's a reason we need to get really good at that, and we need to mix up what we're doing because we have to right-size our approach. We have to differentiate, don't we, as leaders? Exactly the same as the classroom scenario, right? And up here you can see, again, a bit of theory from our background. We can divide up a group's behaviour or a person's behaviour based on the value of it, the quality, whether they're doing whatever it is the right way, and their level of insight or awareness to self-judge and improve. They're pretty simple constructs, aren't they? Is this person doing whatever it is right? And are they pretty on it with self-improvement? The quality of it becomes an X-factor value productivity equation. Really poor quality stuff sucks the resources out of your organisation, and then high quality stuff's amazing. And people's ability to self-aware and steer their own ship and self-performance manage, if they've got no confidence in doing that, it's a bit of a disaster. And if they're super on that, it's different. So here's the recipe. Collaborative group of research psychologists in the education sector. Where do I use my quality managing techniques? It's pretty obvious where I use them. With people who are struggling, lacking skills, lacking insight, doing it badly. Where do I use my coaching techniques? With people that are smashing the lights out and hungry for more. That's easy, isn't it? What do you do if you don't know where that person's at, or that team? You know, in high performance teams we have all sorts of quick and dirty assessment tools. You saw earlier today the faculty level up map. What do we do when we don't know that? Well, Nietzsche's quote gives us the default rule, doesn't he? If it's a group, start at the managing level and release autonomy, work up. We call that the level 2 assumption. Most teams start at level 2 in that map. But if it's an individual, again, if you use the Nietzsche quote, you start assuming that level 4 capability and then quickly discover and ratchet back as they need to till you get to the zone of proximal development. So these tools actually become really simple in the hands of an extraordinary leader. Again, they become autopilots, unconscious defaults that just see them through, that work in the vast majority of cases. And in doing so, of course, you see transformation. It's as if the leader wasn't there. It's invisible lifting. But the leader's doing a lot of amazing things in the background. Our last discipline is some of this a new idea, managemental coach. Going back to my differentiating Lev Vygotsky work and applying it into my leadership work. Is some of this very familiar to you? Have we put words and flesh around ideas that secretly you've been believing for a while? Or is some of this actually just, quite frankly, awkward and triggering a bit of, I don't think that's right. I don't know if I agree. Got about 5 minutes left with me, Craig, with your permission. Yeah. And in that 5 minutes, I want to spend 3, possibly more than 3 if Craig grants me time. I want you to shoot back out for your second breakout and have just a natter about the last 3. Same deal applies. I want you to put your numbers of the rest of your plan, and I want you just to chat about, and feel free to wrestle with, disagree, whatever it is, but I do want you to just at least one goal, one learning goal from this bit, and then I need just a minute or 2 to close off.